Welcome to Pario Magazine, where I chat with individuals who have a desire to create. Today, I'm joined by a trauma doctor turned actor. Welcome to Pario Magazine, Amanda Miller.
Hey, how's it going?
Thank you. So, we're here today to chat about your journey transitioning into the world of acting and also a little bit of the overall uncertainty surrounding the current writers' strike. Before we dive into that, though, do you want to give our audience a brief little introduction as to who Amanda is away from the set and the acting?
Absolutely. I definitely have an unconventional story, one that's kind of different in how I ended up in the entertainment industry. So I've been practicing medicine, gosh, for a while now. So I'm a trauma surgery physician assistant here in the United States. And what that essentially is anybody who comes in with a car accident, any type of trauma, whatever it may be, I'm one of the first providers to see them in the trauma bay. And so that's been the better part of my career in my life, which I'm exceptionally thankful for. And it's definitely built me into who I am. Prior to any medicine, I dabbled a little bit in broadcasting and some theater. And so there's always been a creative bug in my gene. But just practicing medicine for the last little bit, I was thankful enough about 2.5 years ago to be casted in an Apple TV series called Swagger. That series kind of reignited this flame inside of me to be more involved and invested in acting, learn the art more, become a student of the craft. And let's just say I haven't looked back since. And so now I've kind of transitioned my career less away from the operating room and full-time medicine, but now into pursuing acting and modeling full-time.
Okay. How did you sort of first discover that passion for acting in the beginning?
I've always been involved in some type of creative arts. I was a ballet dancer since I was 3. And so being on stage and dancing was just something that really set my heart on fire. I loved it. I loved being in that environment. Did a little bit of theater in high school. When I got into undergraduate university, in the United States, I went to Baylor University, and at Baylor, I participated in broadcast journalism courses, which anything sports related, I'm your girl. I can talk about any sports. I love all of that. And so that was kind of my first on camera type experience as opposed to the theater stage. And it's just you get to an age where you're like, what's practical, what's realistic. I grew up in a very small hometown. And so kind of shifting away from the arts, but into a career that I knew was stable, something that was interesting to me. It's kind of how I got into medicine. And you just get to an age where you're like, screw it. I really want to be who I authentically am and be unapologetically that. And so getting back into the arts is really just done wonders, not only for my soul, but allowed me to be unapologetically myself.
Okay. And you mentioned sort of getting cast in the Swagger series.
Yeah.
How did that come about? Was that just like a cold audition that you went to?
Yeah, basically. And I looked the part to be the mom of one of the characters in it. And so my look definitely helped get kind of solidified into that role. But then just being on set, just being around the writers, the other actors in that creative space was just an incredible opportunity to really just dive right in that most people don't get initially. And so I'm very thankful for that.
And I imagine with it being an Apple production, it was like really big. It wasn't some small local TV
Right.
show.
And the season 2 for the production got actually picked up at the Tribeca Film Festival recently, which was an incredible honor. I actually got to go to New York, watch the showing for the first time during the Tribeca Film Festival, and my part, while small, was definitely a catalyst to have me pause and say, hey, what am I doing? Am I happy where I'm at? Is there another creative outlet that I want to do? Do I want to continue medicine full time? And so I'm very thankful for the other actors, the writers, the directors, producers for allowing me vulnerability in that space to kind of be someone who wasn't really in the industry, but have an opportunity like that.
Is the dream to eventually sort of transition fully over to full-time acting, or is
That's basically
medicine?
where I'm at now.
Okay.
I have since made that transition, so I will still practice. It was important to me to keep up my skill set. You never really know what's going to happen in the entertainment industry, and so I definitely wanted to still keep my skills up. So I will do independent contracting work for hospitals and help out trauma facilities as they need it, especially if they're short staffed or things like that. But full-time actress now, baby.
Okay. So I imagine you didn't really need to fall back on the medicine now that we're currently going through this writer's strike and everything's kind of shutting down.
I'm really fortunate that I have that. And that's, I'm a big believer in timing is everything. And what's meant to be won't pass you by. And I think that being in medicine and having that kind of safety net to fall back on has allowed me to kind of dive wholeheartedly into the craft and not be as concerned, not be as scared. I mean, I know some of my other acting colleagues, they're worried about where their next paycheck is coming from. They're worried about how they're going to put food on the table, especially as production has significantly slowed. And so I'm fortunate that I can go and practice medicine to compensate for some of that.
Okay. Yeah. And I've found myself with sort of creative endeavors, you really do need to dive headfirst into everything and give it 100%, not try and split your attention.
Yeah, and that's where I got big time. I got to the point where it was kind of trying to do some auditions here or there, or trying to get myself more out in the industry, and I realized this is not going to work. And that's that leap of faith, right? That we talk about. That's that just diving headfirst in, because otherwise you're just 50-50. And I got tired of being 50-50, so I went 100% all in.
And then exploring the impact of the writer's strike a little bit more. When did you sort of first get wind that this may be coming down the line?
Sure. So that was an interesting time for me because I got signed with my agency in about February. And then the writer's strike subsequently, like 30 to 45 days, I think later, is when all of that happened. And so it was pretty immediate. I was very fortunate that my an agency that saw some of my work decided to sign me, even though they knew that a writer's strike was kind of down the pipeline. So the strike has kind of been my entire career thus far, which is it's been quite challenging at times.
Was that worrying when you sort of found out that the strike was going ahead and everything would slow down?
You know, I think some, because it's natural instinct, right? You're anybody that kind of dives headfirst into this, you've got to plan a little bit. But I'm a really multifaceted person who no is just not an option for me. So I knew that the strike might make it more challenging, but it didn't hold me back any from wanting to continue the pursuit of being a full-time actress. I'm a big believer in creativity and finding ways to, when the situation might not be optimal for you, finding ways to make it work best.
Are you doing sort of acting courses and things outside just to sort of make up for that little time gap?
Absolutely, but it was also important for me, in respect for the craft and respect for other actors, to being that I'm newer into this full time. I really wanted to get with coaches, instructors, workshops, whether that be online or in person, to really understand the craft more and respect it. I've done a lot of reading on my own, everything from old school textbooks all the way to in person workshops when available. Now that COVID's lifted, that's made it significantly easier to get involved in those. But 100%. I mean, anytime that I can get my hands on any material, learning opportunities to practice scripts with other actors, absolutely.
And how has the strike impacted you directly?
Um, I've been very fortunate to still be able to audition during the strike. I'm in a unique position as an actress in that I am what's called SAG eligible, but still non-union. And so, because I'm so new, so I don't have to per se limit myself, whereas some actors who are fully SAG might not be able to audition for certain projects. Non-union, especially right now, has been a lot of commercial work. So I've still been able to pursue a lot of those avenues, even though I am SAG eligible and had parts. But that's been nice for me, but not everybody has that story. And so I'm sensitive and aware of that, to be respectful to others who might be struggling for audition work right now. The biggest thing that I've been told by individuals, even though I'm still getting auditions in, is that in a normal environment, it would be triple what is coming in right now. And so For me, it's actually been a blessing because I've been able to really hone skills, work on my self-taping, which is a big thing now, working on my home setup. Whereas if multiple auditions are coming in at a time, I might not have had that luxury in a
Mhm.
normal market. So it's allowed me to approach what I'm doing prepared, or to tweak and alter things, or sometimes that not might not be the case. Um, yeah.
Yeah, it's been a sort of nice introduction into it rather than
Yeah, it's like, and that's how I look
on
at
to
it.
the
It's a
next one.
blessing. Yeah, even though I want to obviously audition and do 30 auditions a day, which would be phenomenal and whatnot, having kind of that time period to adjust and make that transition, but to do so, I'm big on doing those transitions professionally, respecting people's time, submitting professional work, and I feel like I've been able to do that because I've had a little bit of extra time.
And we're also seeing talk of SAG-AFTRA joining the writers' strike. How are
Right.
you feeling about sort of that news?
In 2 days, July 12th at midnight. If there hasn't been an agreement, then the Actors Guild has said, I believe it was 98% voted, to go on strike. For me, it's a lot of learning for me as I'm learning what are key players, keeping a very open mind. I definitely support writers and back writers, as I have written in a journal every day since the seventh grade and have even written my own short films and plays. And so I respect that craft and respect what they do. But it's also a second for me to take a step back to learn the entire landscape, from the business analytical side, from the major markets, but also from the actors side. I kind of have an in-between position right now where I'm able to look at everything across a broad landscape, to gain, I'm big on understanding the why for people, but also gaining perspective into the industry that's a little different than some people who might feel forced to go in one direction or the other.
Mhm. Yeah, especially with the way the distribution landscape has changed over recent years, there does seem to be a lot that needs to change.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And with the strike continuing, how has the sort of mood in the industry changed? Is there a lot more sort of fear and uncertainty now?
It's a roller coaster. I think at certain moments people feel very hopeful and optimistic, especially when um, individuals come back and say, "Oh, we had great discussions today." No one really knows what's going on in those rooms except for the people that are at the table, and so I try and be cognizant of that. And I think people have moments of frustration, then moments of, "Yay, maybe we're almost done." Moments of banding together in support. I've seen a lot of creatives that have adopted ways or gotten involved in projects that they might necessarily not have done had there not been a strike, which I think is an awesome way to collab with people. I've seen everybody from gamers collabing with voiceovers, with individuals who've always wanted to write but now just have the opportunity to finally write that short film that they've wanted to do. I've seen a lot of mentoring going on between more seasoned actors and actresses with individuals like myself. So I think there's moments of frustration, but at the end of the day, it's important to know that you can only control what you can control. And that's how I choose to view this. There's, I'm standing right there with everyone else, and I'm one of the actors now, but I'm also acutely aware that I can't change what is necessarily happening in those rooms right now. I can be a voice and I can be an advocate, but it's also just keep in the back of your mind, you only have control of yourself and of what you can control.
Okay. Yeah. So like work might not be happening, but it's sort of solidified that camaraderie between everybody in the industry.
Certainly. And I've actually seen a lot of camaraderie, a lot of support. And even if you look at some of the media, you've even seen picket lines where producers, directors have gone to go strike with the writers or actors, actresses as well being involved. And there is a sense of community and camaraderie because there's strength in numbers for that representation as well.
And then obviously, once the strike is resolved and writers return, it's probably unlikely that production will ramp back up to pre-strike levels. Is that also a concern?
I've heard both, actually. I've heard that it might take a little bit of time, but let's hypothetically say in the next 30 days, conclusions were made that this fall we could see potentially a lot of activity. in the marketplace more. And what I've been told, but also what I firmly believe in, this is a great time to then have your materials prepped. Have, if you need new headshots, get them done. If you need to update your resume, in the US, we use a site called Actors Access for auditions. If you need to update your media, whatever it may be, even including social media, get it done now. So that way, when the floodgates open back up, you are ready to go at your 100% best.
And is that what you've done? You're all set, ready to go for.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm not wasting any time. And for me, it's again been uh, a great opportunity because I'm starting this process while things might open back up again. And so I'm thankful that I'll also be a new face in the mix.
And once we get back and rolling, what are you most excited about?
Mm. Man. I'm really excited to audition for new directors, and I'm really excited to show the industry what I have to offer. I think my background, that's quite eclectic, whether it be in medicine, I'm a former college athlete, traveled, ballerina, you kind of name it. I have um, a really multifaceted background that lends to storytelling and lends to being able to pull from those experiences and produce strong work. And I'm really excited to show that to casting directors, producers, writers who might not be as familiar with me in this space, and be able to show them what I can do.
How would you feel about sort of being cast in like a doctor role, like if we still
You
had
know,
ER, like a show like that?
right, right. No, it's I've actually auditioned for them before, and had like a small role in a show called The Resident, which was in the US. It has since ended, but so the medical terminology, I'm excellent with. I can rattle it off, boom, boom, boom. What's challenging for me is actually sometimes bringing the emotions to it, because I'm used to disassociating in those moments when a patient comes in. If they've had a gunshot wound or they've been in a severe car accident, it's go time for me to save that person's life. And so I tend to put kind of a front up, or it's not a front, but just you have to pull out your raw emotions from that so you can take care of the patient and help treat them. And so some of the medical parts have been kind of challenging, and that I've had to allow myself to be vulnerable. So it's been challenging, but at the same time, very cathartic, because I've never produced really those. I don't, you can't walk into the trauma bay and cry. It's not going
Mhm.
to work out very well.
Yeah.
So, so it's been actually interesting to incorporate some of that into my acting.
Okay. So finally, where is the best place for people to support you and track your creative journey moving forward?
Yeah, absolutely. I love Instagram. I'm all about the gram. And so you can find me on at Amanda Miller _PA. And then I have a website as well, amandamillerllc.com. But usually Instagram's the easiest place to find me.
Alrighty, perfect. Thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me, and good luck with everything. And hopefully we will see you on screens shortly.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for your time.